So guys, the American political right at this point is just beyond parody, okay? You could, even if you wanted to, not even parody it anymore because it is a parody in itself. It is freaking hilarious. You've probably heard about this, but at some point last week, Trump had Kanye West and Nick Fuentes over at Mar-a-Lago to have dinner, right? Which already, like, anyone who knows who Nick Fuentes is, which is basically like a hardcore right-wing neo-Nazi, right? Holocaust denier, anything that you can think of that you don't want to be associated with, that's what Nick Fuentes is. But Trump was like, nah, that's a good idea. Bring those guys over. I mean, apparently he only knew that Kanye is coming, and then he brought his entourage, which consisted of Nick Fuentes. So they had dinner together. And during that dinner, and I cannot tell you how much I would love to have a recording of this dinner. My God, it must be pure gold. But during this dinner, Kanye asked Trump whether he, so just to be clear, right, whether Trump wants to be Kanye's running mate as a vice president for Kanye's 2024 presidential run. Can you imagine that? So you have like two insanely inflated megalomaniac egos clashing over something like that. I mean, just imagine Trump's reaction. Just imagine seeing his face as Ye is like, bro, you really should be my running mate in 2024 for the... This is just unbelievable. So this article states that Trump basically screamed at me, that's what Ye said, telling me I was going to lose. He also said that that question, whether he should be his running mate as vice president in 2024, caught him off guard. Who could have seen that coming, right? I mean, it just shows how far gone Kanye is. That Kanye thinks it's a good idea to visit someone like Trump in his insane gold-plated little Mar-a-Lago palace down in Florida and then ask him during dinner whether he should be running as his vice president. Like, how far gone do you have to be to think that that is a good idea? And even funnier, then after Trump freaked out over that question, Ye said, hold on, Trump. You're talking to Ye. God, I wish there would be a recording of that dinner. It would be so beautiful to witness. It would be unbelievable. Anyway, so then that dinner passed, and then Kanye came forward and he was like, you know what? Like, Trump was really, really impressed with Nick Fuentes. That was like Ye's statement. Shortly thereafter, Trump came forward and he says, I don't know who Nick Fuentes is. I don't even know where I know the name from. I don't know who this person is. I guess after he found out who he really is and what he stands for, he tried super hard to distance himself from that, while Ye already confirmed that during that dinner he was really impressed with it. So it's like there are lots of statements that just contradict each other heavily. In the meantime, Trump has gone into full damage limitation mode. He has realized that that was not good, okay? That dining with hardcore neo-Nazi, fascist, Holocaust deniers is not good for your reputation in general. So now we get news like this. Trump lashes out at Kanye West as aides rush to reinstate guardrails at Mar-a-Lago. He tried to F me. He's crazy. He can't beat me, Trump said of Kanye West. So they're not so good friends anymore. It didn't go down too well. Also, Trump's team is ramping up security so he doesn't accidentally dine anymore with white nationalists. The campaign reportedly plans to babysit the former president in an effort to prevent any more PR nightmares. Also, a Trump advisor who was at Mar-a-Lago when this meeting went down, or this dinner went down, says that Mar-a-Lago dinner with Kanye West and Nick Fuentes was a freaking nightmare. It's gold. It's just gold, brother. Oh. In this article, it states that a source told NBC News that Fuentes is advising West on his potential presidential bid. So where is this coming from, right? Like, why does someone like Nick Fuentes suddenly appear next to Kanye and apparently, if we can trust that kind of information, is advising him on his presidential bid? The theories are that it has to do with Candace Owens, okay? And that because Kanye is close to Candace Owens and she probably said, hey, you should look at this young guy called Nick Fuentes and he might be the right guy for you. We don't know this, okay? This is all just speculation, but people think that she might have played a role in bringing those two together. But obviously, we know that Kanye is not a big fan of the Jewish communities, okay? And so is Nick Fuentes, so he and a few others probably thought they would be a good match. And how could a campaign for a presidential bid fail with someone like Nick Fuentes on your side? There is just no way that it could fail. It's absolutely remarkable what's going on. So then a day or two later, Ben Shapiro got involved and he tweeted the following: a good way not to accidentally dine with a vile racist and anti-Semite you don't know is not to dine with a vile racist and anti-Semite you do know. And Ben Shapiro is like, wait a second. This white supremacist movement that I've been part of all along is anti-Semitic against Jewish... What do you mean? What? It's just, you couldn't come up with this stuff. You could not come up with this stuff. It is unbelievable. He's in shock, right? Ben Shapiro is shocked that the white supremacists around him, that he's part of the Daily Wire and everything, that all these people are actually having a problem with Jews. Like, that nobody could have seen that coming. Impossible. So then a little Twitter fight broke out between Shapiro and Kanye. And Kanye, in a now deleted tweet, replied to Shapiro saying, Shapiro starvingly accepts $100,000 from one of my opponents, then tries to trash me, with what he was clearly referring to a sponsoring that Ron DeSantis gave the Daily Wire. And that's a whole story in itself, because apparently that was basically ad money that Ron DeSantis put into Daily Wire, hoping that his campaign gets advertised, that he on the back of that also gets spoken positively about. And apparently there were some mailing lists involved where like mailing lists were shared with DeSantis. So they're handing around all these right-wing followers, right? They're like, oh, you got a long list of right-wing follower emails. How about you share that with me? Then I can use that for my campaign to promote myself and so on. So the whole thing is a whole cluster F in itself. But yeah, Kanye is basically like, bro, you accept 100,000, right? Trying to kind of fight back at Ben Shapiro, to which Shapiro then replied again, sadly, you've trashed yourself. You didn't need my help. It wasn't me. It wasn't the Jews. It was just you. It's beautiful. But the whole aspect of how shocked Ben seems to be that his own side is like very comfortable with anti-Semitism, and the realization that the people that are on his side, supposedly, would probably not hesitate a second, okay, to have him picked up and deported to some kind of labor camp when it comes to that. Okay, he's like, wait a second, guys. The hypocrisy, man. It's kind of the same with like Dave Rubin, right? Also the right-wing commentator, who is outspokenly gay, which is absolutely fine, and who had, I think, 1 or 2 surrogate kids with his husband. But at the same time, he's pandering to all those right-wingers. So he can't just be like, listen, guys, being gay is absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong with it. Having a surrogate child as gay parents is no big deal. No, he has to also always pander to these people and be like, no, generally gayness is a problem, and generally we need to... So he constantly has to kind of row back from his own beliefs and his own convictions just to make sure that he doesn't offend his audience too much. The hypocrisy with those people is just unbelievable, right? It's like they're in front of reality. In fact, they are part of the reality, whether it's Shapiro realizing all his homies are kind of anti-Semitic, or whether it's Dave Rubin realizing that all his homies and followers are actually kind of anti-gay while he's gay himself. It's like they're in front of reality, they're part of reality, but they have to deny the reality that they're part of, because that would offend all his followers and put their income to zero. And that's something we don't want, okay? Because let's be honest, that's what it's all about. Okay, guys, don't tell anyone. But it really is all about just like making a shit ton of money every month with pandering to the opinions of all these quite deranged people. And then following on the back of all that, the whole drama at the Tim Pool's podcast happened, where Kanye and Fuentes were invited. And I'm sure you've seen this clip a few times now, but we're going to watch it again. Here it is.
They tried to lock me up.
They.
That's what, because every time I'm just holding stride, and it's like, I thought I was more Malcolm X, but I find out I'm more MLK, because as I'm getting hosed down every day by the press and financially, I'm just standing there. And when I found out that they tried to put me in jail, it was like a dog was biting my arm, and I almost shed a tear, almost, but I still walked in stride through it. Yeah.
I think they've been extremely unfair to you.
Who was they, though? We can't say they.
Who's they? You can't say it. You said they. Who's they? We agree on who's they, right? I'm not going to say it. You're not going to say it. We're not going to say it. But they. I mean, let's put it on the table, bro. It's they, isn't it?
Yes,
corporate press. I'm not using the. I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking.
It is
about
them, though.
It's them. Yeah. I'm not using the word. Jesus Christ, man. Beyond parody. It is beyond parody.
Oh, isn't it? I mean, because because when you think about it, consider it.
So here it is. Fuentes is like, it is them, though. Them. Right? We know. We don't need to say it, but it is them. And Tim Pool is like, no, it's not, which is absolutely correct. I didn't think that I would ever agree with anything Tim Pool says, but he's right. These people are heavily overinflating the amounts of Jewish people that are in leading positions, right? And this is just like a narrative that has been repeated so many times that a lot of people actually believe it. And they're like, no. Everyone in banks is Jewish. Everyone in the entertainment industry it's just not true.
In 2018.
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about, are you leaving?
Are you referring to the press?
I freaking love it. Because also notice what happened here, right? It's not that he listened to Tim Pool's argument or anything he had to say. He was like, no, I slightly disagree there. And he's like, what do you mean it's not them? What are you saying? It's not them? And he's like, yeah, let me explain what I mean. And he just gets up and leaves. And he's like, I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say because I know it's them. And if you don't agree with that, I'm out of here. I'd imagine this really also plays into his favor, like when it comes to him trying to be president in 2024, because a president that leaves the room as soon as you challenge any of his points is just a great candidate, right? It's just the right guy for the job.
Done. I'll say it right now. You guys want to bring that stuff up?
All right. We don't need to. That's basically it, okay? Kanye left the studio. Kanye got really upset because someone dared to challenge his opinions, which is also like a great statement about how surrounded by yes men he must be. Not only Nick Fuentes, but also like he's been seen on the plane like with people like Milo Yiannopoulos. We know that they're traveling around together, right? So this was shared by Timcast on Instagram, I believe. So here's these three losers, bro. Let's be honest, man. What a bunch of freaking losers. Okay, I'm not saying, oh my God, I'm such a winner. But those guys are the definition of a loser. It is so pathetic. So anyway, those three guys were at Timcast and kind of turned the show upside down. And now people like the recently reinstated on Twitter Jordan Peterson are getting involved in this conversation because obviously, why would he not? And he says, actually quoting this particular moment we just watched, Jews are canaries in the social coal mine. When anti-Semitism becomes a moral necessity, even in its more subtle forms, hell is about to make its appearance yet again. And I read this, I was like, what? Hold on. So here he says, when anti-Semitism becomes a moral necessity. It's not just a necessity. Anti-Semitism has become a necessity. That's already like an extremely deranged statement to make in itself. But it's a moral necessity. A moral necessity. And then he kind of rolls back in the last part of the sentence where he's like, oh, well, hell is going to make an appearance again. Well, that's not a good thing, right? Now, obviously, that tweet didn't go down well on the internet. People are like, bro, what are you saying? Like, what do you mean anti-Semitism is a moral necessity? That's kind of messed up. So Jordan Peterson had to roll back with another tweet that he sent shortly thereafter, I think the next day or something. And he says, the anti-Semites are truly starting to climb back out of the hell sewer. Appalling to observe. So he's making it very, very clear this time around. He's like, it's appalling and they're climbing out of the sewer. These anti-Semites, I'm not an anti-Semite. I have nothing to do with all this. That just to make this really, really clear, in case there was any confusion about me saying anti-Semitism is a moral necessity at this point. That's not what I meant. I mean, I said it, but I didn't mean it. This is, what a freaking story, bro. What is going on in this world? It is absolute insanity. It is beyond parody. And it's borderline not funny anymore, right? Because the subjects itself are just so sad and so deranged and so misinformed that it's really, really painful almost to observe. But it's also hilariously funny. It is so dumb that I, to be honest with you, did not expect to witness anything like that in my lifetime. I didn't see any of this coming. But here it is. And we're in the middle of it. There you have it, guys. I'm sure the story is not over. Okay, I'm sure we're going to hear more of this, and it's going to have a bigger ripple effect into many other areas where people are going to keep commenting on it, but that's where we are with it today. And I am curious to hear what you think about this. Did you perceive the story like kind of like I perceived it, or do you think, no, you got it all wrong. You got it all wrong. This is completely normal, okay? Even if these are your thoughts, then please leave them down in the comment section. I'm curious to hear them and to read your comments. So I appreciate your time watching the video. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. I'm out.